Ja, guten Morgen, Bettina Huber, mein Name.
Lovely good morning, I'm Bettina Huber, the Secretary of the Presidium of the Academie der Künste. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, dear media representatives, dear participants in the conference of the European Alliance of Academies. Some of you, we have a numerous turnout here, some are still around today, which we're very happy about. Thank you for joining us, despite the risk which is penetrating us and is associated with a physical get-together. Thank you for abiding by the general hygiene rules. We have the Manifesto of the European Alliance of Academies, which is published today, which was resolved upon yesterday in the course of a two-day conference. And the press coverage was exciting, was excellent. We have interviews this afternoon, and so I'm ever so happy to have some media representatives that I can welcome here at the point where the manifesto is submitted to the public in a ceremony. On the panel, we have President Janine Meerapfel, writer Robert Menasse, who is a member of the Academie der Künste, Anne Fechter, chair of the Dutch Academy for Arts and Sciences, and Juan Miguel Hernández León, president of the Círculo de Bellas Artes from Madrid. In the audience, I welcome Katrin Röckler, the vice president of the Académie der Künste, and the art historian Bénédicte Savoy, who gave an impressive presentation yesterday on Europe Inside Out, or what it means to think about Europe from Berlin. Dear Academy President Janine Meerapfel, the floor is yours. Thank you. A lovely good morning, everybody. We'll stick to German. We do have interpretation, don't we? We do. Right. So if anybody does not understand German, feel free, this is important, get yourself a headphone. It's wonderful this morning to be sitting here. I see Stegner, another member of the Academie der Künste, also someone who accompanied and supported this project all along from scratch. Yesterday, we were around 60 or somewhat over 60 participants, 60 academies together, online and offline. And yesterday, together, we published a manifesto, which we would like to read out to you today. It was about chiefly for us to get together, and we did get together the day before. And yesterday, in the sense that we meant to We want an open continent. We want a Europe which is transnational, which acts against right-wing tendencies in politics. That is a transnational organization in the meaning of the attempt to deal with one another without a racist and without any ideological borders. This, I think, has been well received. There are various colleagues, men and women around, who contributed yesterday that the manifesto looks what it looks like today, and I will read it out afterwards. But first of all, let me use the opportunity and express my thanks to some of the members of the new alliance and give them the opportunity to introduce themselves. This way, to begin with, can you start out? I'm afraid the speaker has no microphone. May he be given a microphone, please? The interpreters apologize.
Hello, good morning, Martin Graffel, the Czech Republic, Czech Literary Center. We are working in behalf of Ministry of Culture of the Czech Republic under the Moravian Library in Brno.
My name is Norbert Platz. I'm the president of the Berlin University of the Arts.
My name is Széchenyi. I'm a representative of the Royal Netherlands Academy of Arts and Sciences.
Yeah, Christopher Gansing from the Royal Danish Academy of Fine Arts. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Ferenc Cinki. I'm from Hungary, representing the Society of Hungarian Authors. We have 400 members of different writers, poets, and literature experts. Thank you.
Aleš Sedmak, Slovenia. I'm a representative of Slovenian Association on Fine Art Societies. We are more than 800 visual artists, like members. Thank you.
Lucien Kaiser, Luxembourg, Präsident der Sektion Arts et Lettres des Institut Grand-Ducal.
Hello, I am Tomislav Buntak. I am Dean on Academy of Fine Arts in Zagreb.
Josip Zanki, Croatian Association of Fine Artists, 2,000 members.
Hello, nice to meet you all here together. Danko Friščić, Zagreb Fine Art Academy, painter and Vice Dean.
Ja, ich hoffe, wir haben jetzt niemanden vergessen. Auf jeden Fall ist es wunderbar, dass Sie.
I hope we've not forgotten anybody. So it's wonderful to have all of you here now, that we've been together for 2.5 days and have talked to one another and have heard wonderful presentations and speeches. What I meant to do is also tell you that the conference is funded by the Commission of the Federal Government for Culture and Media in the scope of the German EU Council Presidency. Still, our autonomy as the Academie der Künste and the autonomy of the alliance that is about to be created, the Alliance of European Academies, will be respected. Benedict Savoy, I would ask you to give us a brief statement why this alliance is thought important by you. I mustn't touch, I'll do it this way. Roger. A very warm welcome. Thank you for inviting me, giving me the opportunity to stress again how important the project is and how necessary I think the alliance is. The brief introduction gives us the power also, us here in Berlin. I admit that there is prosperity in Berlin. I mean, we are doing fine here in Berlin, even if many are wailing, complaining at the universities in particular. But I keep casting a glance and having an ear for what happens in France every day. I know that outside Germany it is faring, people are faring worse, even people are wailing here. Things are better here. The prosperity which we have, that feel well, the well-being despite the crisis, is empowers us through your press, not only inside Germany to check around here, but also look outside. Germany, Berlin alone, after all, will not bring about the culture or the science alone. Can't do that alone. No, you do it throughout Europe, Europe-wide, and not even Europe-wide alone. So the initiative is not only necessary and important, and it is in solidarity. No, it's got to be. We have to have it. It has a role model function also for other types of institutions. I come from university teaching, seeing how good we're doing at German universities, how badly people are faring outside Germany at universities. We can only get people here in the future, but out there, I mean, Athens, Paris, London, Madrid, Italy, Portugal, etc., where the others are doing so badly at the universities, then at some point would only be doing that alone. No, that has to be avoided for us and for the next generation and the next but one. That is an appeal to all of you, but also to the Foreign Office that all the time has been monitoring it, has been countering that it would not happen, such an isolation of Europe within the world and isolation of Germany within Europe. So my thanks indeed goes, and my admiration goes to the sponsors. I'll express that again. Thank you. Thank you, Benedict. Right. Katrin Rögler, our Vice President, is with us here today. I meant to ask you, would you want to say something and comment why, for you, you feel it is important and it's necessary? Well, you know, the fact is, art is something transnational in its nature. We're practicing it all. Basically, it's just an institutional pendant that we want to create, that we are a loudspeaker, we have an instance that we keep talking to one another on this level, what we're practicing in our work anyway. I was so happy, I was rejoicing at it. I had a feeling something gets going, something is launched. I just got an invitation to Bucharest, not me, I mean, we as the institution. If it'll happen this way, we'll have to check that out, but I find it's a great, wonderful achievement. I would all wish that we stick to it, with that we do get it going and live up to what we have been doing all along. There's no more to say, is there? Right, and this takes me over here to the panel. The day before yesterday, Robert Menas gave us a wonderful picture of the sparrow that is so courageous to try and stop the skies from falling onto us by keeping his legs up to withstand that. And he asked, why does he do that? And in response to the question, the sparrow says, I'll do what I can. We are doing what we can do. Apologies that I've just abused your image. It's so beautiful. I can't but do it. And you haven't misused it. I just worded it more beautifully. Wow. Now, sincerely, thank you. Let me briefly address why from the beginning I was so enthusiastic when she came to me. If Janine asked me if I would want to cooperate and I would contribute some ideas or give some input in the discussion with a view to founding a transnational network of the academies and cultural institutions. I was enthusiastic all along, you know. It's not just high time. No, it is the highest possible time. It's been very long that we have had a very disconcerting political and societal development. That is today, to say, the renationalization which we're observing in such a way that maybe a few years ago we would have ridiculed as a spleen of right-wing parties. But it has, meanwhile, come to the midstream, the mainstream of society, and that's the way I feel about it, and I'm not alone with it, I think. It, meanwhile, has become a threat for all our work, a threat to our societies, and a threat to the European citizens, the men and women, and jeopardizing, indeed, the future layout, the future design of our lives in the Union, first and foremost. The idea of the European Union, after all, was a transnational political organization. That's what it meant to be for that continent. If you know a bit about history, somewhat about the era before 1945, then we'll know how highly dangerous nationalism is. Not only during an extreme and radical form, no, there is no moderate nationalism around, as little as there is pork, roast pork without a pig. Now, first of all, it is totally incomprehensible for me how it would be possible that the destructive, divisive, competitional situations, that this ideology has so much tailwind. It's been said before, the arts and the sciences are the genuine natural enemies of nationalism. Artists always had exchange across the borders. Artists never. For instance, I don't know any writer, and I know many colleagues, I do not know a single author who seriously would have the intention of writing national literature. Among the scientists, it is perfectly clear that science produces no progress if it's pursued as a national research achievement. No, science per se, like in the pandemic situation right now with the quest for a vaccine, we won't have one for 20 years if every country does research on its own, with badly paid universities and research institutions at that. So it is astonishing that those that obviously are no nationalists, those that know about the history of nationalism, those that feel threatened by that nationalism. I mean, it's not just that it's lacking money someplace at universities. No, the fact is that in some European states, cultural institutions, universities and academies are on the leash of illiberal democrats, if I just remind you of that. It is truly astonishing that it took so long for us to harbor the idea, to realize the idea, to determine the location of scientists and artists who always stood up against such a development. Through the diversity of our voices, through the variety of our voices and the networking of our work and our voices, to give it more weight and give it more public resonance. I've been asked time and again if I would sign anything, a petition or an appeal. There are ideas we're protesting against this and that. Would you sign that appeal? I kept thinking, and I said that to Janine as well, it cannot be the political and social completion of my work to become an underwriter, to become a signatory of appeals. And that's why. That's why it's high time. It is threatening, it is menacing, and not least because nationalism that could blow up the whole union has come into the mainstream. I'll just remind you of one example where, for instance, it would not be possible that The anti-intellectual, anti-artistic, anti-democracy stance, the policy of Orban, is clearly countered by the political elites of the continent, where a German Christian Democrat, as the head of the parliamentary party of the Christian Democrats in the European Parliament, stands up against the Orban party to be excluded from that family of parties because otherwise they would not have a majority in the parliament. What do I need a parliamentary majority for if it's not guaranteed, if it's guaranteed by anti-democratic people? I well fail to understand that. No, no way. We can speak out much clearer with all the weight. We can say that more distinctly with the weight of renowned institutions, renowned artists and scientists that we jointly bring to bear. And that's why I say, if we want to shape our own futures, our destinies, and we do not wish to suffer, then we can only do it where we stand up against the forces, with all our might, with all our artistic and scientific work, and also as the political citizens that we are. If we stand up against that tendency that this continent gets torn apart by the singular competition of individual member states and the tolerance of the politicians with the nationalists, because they are voters. If we clearly say so, we see it, then, like I said, I favor that. We would not want to suffer the future, but shape the future or help shape the future. Thank you so much.
Vielen Dank, Robert.
Thank you, Robert.
Ich möchte gerne, dass Anne Vector aus Holland, aus Amsterdam.
Anne Vector from Amsterdam, from Holland. Would you want to comment on our alliance and the need for it? Oh, yes, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Menasse. We would be happy to say, actually, I only arrived here yesterday afternoon. We want to say that at all events, should we want to cooperate, that sounds strong in a way. We're a small academy in the Netherlands. We've only been 6 years old. We have 50 members. And it occurred to me that our interest has been very strong to build up that academy ourselves. What I can see here, I feel this here, is the significance of developing the academy and finding a connection to the other neighboring countries. We have strong and interesting members, but we're so much in the transformation progress ourselves, in the initiation, and I feel this need very much here at this place. Yes, I want to say so. What has been said here, the alliance, the formulation of the commentary, we take that back to the Netherlands, to work against us remaining to be too small, so that our voice can be heard. There are many links with policymakers that we have from our academy. We can use that more, and that's what I meant to say. It has strengthened me. Thank you very much for supporting this. Thank you.
And now I would like to ask Juan Miguel Hernández de León from Spain for his opinion on why our alliance is important and why you would like to take part in this. Thank you.
Buenos días. Buenos días. Voy a hablar en español, toda vez que represento al Círculo de Bellas Artes de Madrid, una institución también centenaria.
¿Cómo se dice Círculo de Bellas Artes? No.
I am representing the Circle of Fine Arts of Madrid.
Represento en este sentido lo que nosotros nos gusta denominar como la casa de los artistas, de los escritores, de los intelectuales.
I
am representing what we would like to call the house of intellectuals, of artists, of authors, of writers.
En ese sentido, también hemos pasado a denominarnos la Casa de Europa.
Therefore, we are calling ourselves House of Europe.
Razones. En primer lugar, porque yo mismo he escrito un artículo sobre esa utopía europea que me gustaba denominar mejor heterotopía, en el sentido que Michel Foucault lo utiliza desde el cuento de José Luis Borges.
In this sense, I would like to say, in the sense that we are thinking about an utopia or a heterotopy that Jorge Luis Borges wrote about.
Y que en su propia historia el Círculo de Bellas Artes de Madrid ha tenido los mismos avatares que la Academie der Künste.
In der eigenen Geschichte hat unsere Institution ein ähnliches Schicksal gehabt.
In our history, we had the same destiny as the Academy
Pues que
of
también hemos tenido una
Arts.
dictadura fascista, franquista, en la que muchos de los dirigentes, de los líderes de ese Círculo de Bellas Artes fueron depurados o tuvieron que marchar al exilio en la posguerra civil española.
In the sense that it was the same as here, that many of those that were in this situation together had to go to exile because of the Franco dictatorship, and they had to flee.
Y que además hay un agradecimiento especial de nuestra institución al haber sido invitados a esta alianza de las academias o instituciones culturales europeas, en el sentido de que la cultura y el arte transnacional, más allá de las ideologías nacionalistas, nos parece una cuestión fundamental.
The transnational
arts that go beyond borders is something that seems to us the most crucial movement, and therefore we are very grateful that we have been invited to this, to take part in this alliance.
Hegel, Kant, Spinoza, Leibniz, ¿por qué no Goethe? Son también parte de nuestra cultura.
All of these that you just heard are part of our culture.
Además, nuestro país, en este momento también presionado por una extrema derecha que tiene una condición nacionalista excluyente,
in our country, in which a right-wing movement is happening, that is exclusive, excluding other movements. It is an exclusive movement.
Nos parece que unido al que somos realmente uno de las puertas de Europa en el sentido de la inmigración.
And we are one of the gates of Europe, so to say, for immigrants, for immigration.
Estamos felices de defender los derechos humanos, la igualdad.
Happy that we are able to put in practice
Porque los
human
españoles
rights and
no podemos
equality.
olvidar
The Spanish have
que
not forgotten
después de la Guerra Civil Española,
that after the Spanish Civil War in Spain,
nuestros intelectuales, los más brillantes, tuvieron que exilarse en América Latina, en Estados Unidos y allí contribuyeron precisamente a crear las mayores infraestructuras culturales que en este momento tienen esos países. Sabemos lo que es el exilio, sabemos lo que es la represión.
We know exactly what exile means. We know what repression means, because our most brilliant, most intellectuals had, after the era of Franco, if I understood it correctly, had to leave the country during or after the Franco dictatorship. They had to leave the country, go to Latin America, to the United States, from which places they put up the fight.
Por último, como una institución de lengua española, queremos ser la puerta, el elemento de conexión con todos estos países de lengua española o de lengua portuguesa que en este momento saben lo que es también la represión, el totalitarismo y el nacionalismo. Por tanto, podéis contar con nuestro apoyo y con nuestra más ferviente de corazón entusiasmo.
Bueno, voy a tratar, espera un poco.
As we know that we're the gate to Latin America, we're the gate to the Hispanic and Portuguese-speaking Spanish countries in Latin America, and therefore we are able to grasp the spirit of this alliance and bring it to these countries. Thank you. Thank you.
La segunda parte de tu frase, que era, und wollte sich bedanken.
And he would like to thank everyone to be part of this alliance, to be able to be part of this.
Con pasión.
Passion. With passion, he wants to say thank you. And you are part of this with passion, you and your vice director, who have been part of this conference from the beginning and contributed so much. Yesterday, he showed me that all the news that were covered on this conference through all the channels that we know, the social media, that he brought it to Latin America, and therefore thank you all for taking part in this. Thank you. We had the plan for you to read the manifesto in German. I will read it because everything that we want to say is in there. Everything that we discussed is in there. And everything that we want to do and what we stand for. Alliance of Academies, Open Continent. And this subtitle is just sort of a note. Open continent. It is a note, and it is very crucial to us, especially to me. We don't want to exclude anyone. And therefore it is so important for me what you just said about opening up to other countries, about opening up to other continents and not just Europe. In some European countries, we are currently experiencing cultural policies that understand art and culture only nationally and are increasingly regulating them. As a result, the autonomy of many academies, museums, and cultural institutions is being jeopardized. We would like to do something against this development. So far, 60, and I think it's even more, art academies and cultural institutions from countries of the European Union, Great Britain, and Norway are joining to form an Alliance of Academies on the initiative of the Academy of Arts Berlin. Together we stand up for the right to freedom of art throughout Europe, which is stipulated in Article 13 of the Charter of Fundamental Rights of the European Union. What does the Alliance stand for? Art and culture are essential for a functioning democracy and for social cohesion. We stand for the freedom of the arts as a prerequisite for our cultural, social, and political way of life. The independence of artistic positions and institutions from political, national, and religious prescriptions is the foundation of democracy. Being here in Berlin, we are particularly aware, as a consequence of the disasters of the 20th century caused by Germany, of the responsibility to think of the EU as part of a transnational cultural peace project. We stand for cultural diversity in Europe and in our societies. We want to recall the blind spots that the European wars of conquest left in the world, of the colonial power structures that continue to have an impact in many countries today. We stand with the arts for humanism that opposes all forms of racism, discrimination, and violence. We also defend human rights for those who were not born in Europe, but who seek a chance for survival and peaceful coexistence here. Our demands and measures. We call for a unified solidarity between the art and cultural institutions in Europe. Only across all borders can art, culture, and science develop in the spirit of the Enlightenment. Only together we will succeed in maintaining and defending this free space for the future. We exchange information transnationally and directly on cultural policy developments in our countries, and we disseminate the news through our own communication channels and in our own networks. We support the exchange of art and artists within our institutions, particularly those who may be experiencing socio-political restraints in the exercise of their artistic work or in their freedom of expression. We demand that art and culture become an integral part of European politics. We call on politicians throughout Europe to protect and defend the right to artistic freedom and the autonomy of the institutions in accordance with Article 13 of the Charter of Fundamental Rights of the EU, and wherever necessary to support the art academies and the artists on the advice of our alliance. Berlin, 9th October 2020. And I wanted to say that it has to be the 9th of October, which was yesterday, because 1 year ago the attack on the synagogue in Halle happened, and this is something that we should keep in mind. And therefore this is not dated 10th of October, but 9th of October, though my head of PR wasn't really happy about this. But it is important, I think, and thank you for listening. I give the floor to my colleague. Are there any questions or comments? We still have a microphone. There's a question there. I would like to know which academies are not part of this. Is this at random, or is there a pattern, maybe? And I would also like to remind you of the question that you had in the portfolio for the former president, I quote, but I have doubts about certain academies that are subsidized by states can be real partners in this. My question, you trust in the impact of the manifesto on all the academies that are part of this, right? My name is Behrens Halle. My name is not Halle, I am from Halle. Some academies have not yet given a statement, a clear statement. No, none of the academies that we contacted said no, but those that weren't clear about this, we didn't take in. So others, for example, like the Academy for Poetry and Language and Poetry from, I think you're a member of this, from Darmstadt. They were part of this the whole time. They want to take part in it, but the president of the academy has to talk to their council before they can take part in our alliance. Therefore, we didn't mention him, or we didn't put him on the list. But I don't know about academies that don't want to be part of this. We only named those that actually accepted our invitation. The second part of your question was something that I didn't quite understand. The speaker is not using a microphone, we're sorry. It is a statement from the former president of the Academie der Künste. I can't really talk about a statement by Mr. Steg, and I'm not clear about what it was, but I'm sure that he meant it at the time. This seems to be a paradoxon. National academies, to get a network of national academies in a transnational way. But I need to remind you that in many European states, after the reunification and after the Second World War, academies were founded, and they were still national states that were slowly becoming members of the European Union, the European community, and therefore new academies were founded, and the first thing was they had to do their work in order to get going. And now, in this paradox, we see a very dangerous thing happening, because suddenly European states are becoming nationalist, they become illiberal, and they try, in their mind, these academies are still national, although there is transnational exchange, and these states trying to limit and to maybe even block these academies and to have them be loyal to the state and maybe even have nationalist people in the academies. And therefore, we have to strengthen our transnational network that we just founded and that we are creating. The fact that they are national academies has historical background in the same way that what in history, what has a beginning has an end, and what should and will end, they defend themselves. And the artists of these academies have our support, and we are in exchange with them, and we are giving them a voice. So this is a normal paradox, I would say. You mentioned Goethe and Hegel. Goethe founded or created the world literature, and this became national treasure, so to say. Hegel, for example, talked about Weltgeist, the worldly spirit, and that was abused because he became the Prussian state philosopher. This does not say anything about the authors, the writers themselves, the scientists, the philosophers, what was made of them. But it says something about us if we dare to let it happen, and therefore I'm going to be very open about this. If you say Goethe is part of the Hispanic culture, we have to make sure that if you ask someone who or what was Goethe, that the answer is not he's an institute. As though the work of the Goethe Institute is of great merit, but still, he is a poet of world literature.
Und Cervantes gehört genauso zu uns.
Cervantes, as much as is part of Europe, as part as German as Goethe is part of Spanish tradition. Are there further questions? This does not seem to be the case. We're grateful to you for coming. We'll have a little snack outside and the opportunity. I think you wanted to invite people to attend available the perspectives on European city at Hanseatenweg Academy. We invite you. That's the different location of the Academy, the one on Hanseatenweg, an exhibition. The participants from the Alliance have it in their program as well. To round off, I'd like to say thank you. We're grateful to all of you, those that together with me have made this event possible. And I mean the technical and organizational background. Christiane Lötsch in particular and Anna Dock, who ran all the organization of this gathering, who not only looked after hotels and train rides, but they did all the lists and the texts and our own press coverage, the press who helped us as well to present what is so dear to us. I don't hope I've forgotten anybody. Anyway, I thank you also to Siggy, Paul and his people, who have made possible this hybrid form of conference. Thank you warmly to our new friends. I am very, very happy to have made new friends, quite personally, and in the sense of the institution, of course, the Academie der Künste, but also quite personally. It's a great richness, and I'm grateful to you.